The word authenticity is dying, and I think that's a problem. Now, when I say dying, I mean it's becoming very watered down. At this point, it's just a buzzword that we hear all the time. And due to things like performative authenticity, where, you're like, I'm gonna cry on camera. You have influencers crying on camera or thinking that authenticity is this certain aesthetic or way you're supposed to show up, kind of defeats the whole purpose and has started to give the word a bad reputation. But I think this is really problematic because there's a reason we as a society, as humans, have been so obsessed with the word authenticity for the past 5 or 6 years. We are craving truth. We are craving realness in a world filled with AI and fakeness and masks. We are just craving real, and that's why the word has been so popular. But if the word dies, if it becomes so watered down that it carries zero weight, I think that's a problem. So that's what we're going to unpack today. What does authenticity really mean? And how can we actually strive to be more authentic? Welcome back to Creator by Design. If you're new here, hi, my name is Hallee. And I want to start by this episode by diving into my story a little bit, because I've had quite the journey with authenticity. This has been weighing heavy on me in my life for the past 5-6 years. So for those of you that don't know me, I went viral on TikTok back in 2020. And this was something I didn't see coming. It was something that I didn't necessarily set out to achieve, but it happened, and it happened really fast. And I gained 1 million followers in 6 months. And so in that time period, I started to wear a mask. The mask being this persona that I was playing online. It was a part of me. It was an aspect of who I was at the time. So in many regards, it was authentic, but it became something more than that. It became a character. And the problem wasn't that I was, building a persona. We all build personas. Every famous person that you think you know is living in a persona. Every creator you think you know has an online persona. That's just how it is. And so there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. The problem comes in the second layer of intentionality, of awareness. I didn't have the awareness of what was happening. I was just doing it. And so the problem was when I started to ask myself, well, what is authentic to me? I didn't know, because I didn't know who I was. And that's when I realized, you know what? This didn't just start when I went viral. I feel like in many aspects, I've been wearing a mask my whole life, but I wasn't even aware of it. And that's the thing. Most of us aren't. Most of us don't realize, we don't have that second layer of awareness, of intentionality to recognize the fact that we are wearing masks in many situations. So the mask isn't necessarily bad. It's more about the self-awareness. So that brings me to my second point. It's actually really hard to be authentic. I feel like there's this huge misconception that it's like, oh, well, just be authentic. Just be yourself. Just be yourself. It's fine. Just be yourself. Okay. What is myself, though? It sounds simple because I am in my body. But who am I? Who am I? The big, deep existential question, right? So the thing is that most people don't actually know. And I think that most people strive to be authentic. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe you do want to do this, but I don't think most people show up every day and they're like, you know what, today I'm going to be so inauthentic. I'm going to be so inauthentic today. It's going to be a good day. I don't think anyone does that. I think the vast majority of people aspire to be authentic or intend to be authentic, but being authentic is really freaking hard because naturally throughout life, we take on other people's thoughts, perspectives, perceptions. It's just human nature that we as a survival mechanism, right? Like we used to live in tribes and small niche communities where you had to fit in to survive, because if you got banished from the group, good luck, buddy. So there is a reason that we wear masks. It is human nature. And so if you are someone who's like, oh my gosh, I'm like wearing a mask, it is okay. It doesn't make you evil or a bad person. It truly just makes you human. And trust me, I went through that same thing. I'm like, and I talked shit on myself for so long because I'm like, oh my gosh, am I just like the most horrible person in the world? I've been so inauthentic my whole life. My fellow people pleasers, I'm like, I didn't even realize it, but like I've been doing this thing and like, is this bad? And you can talk yourself down a rabbit hole, right? But you have to understand it's human nature. So if you're realizing this about yourself, it doesn't make you bad. It just makes you human. So there's kind of two layers here. There's, do I know myself first? And then second of all, once you know yourself, being authentic is scary. It is challenging. Even when you know yourself, once you do know yourself and you know, okay, these are the things that are authentic to me, sticking to that is hard for the very reason I just explained, conformity. People wear masks, people want to fit in because it is scary to not. It is scary to, speak up when everybody else in the room is saying something different. It is uncomfortable to be the person in the group who, maybe you have a dietary restriction and that's the authentic, that's true to you. That's how you want to live. That's how you want to do what you want to do. But it's hard because you feel like a burden on everyone else to be yourself. So it isn't easy to be authentic. That is the biggest misconception, is that it's easy and effortless and cute and aesthetic. No, it's actually really painful. It's painful sometimes to be authentic, because sometimes the authentic choice is the really hard choice. Maybe you're in a relationship and, it would be easier to keep pretending to be someone you're not because that's what fits in the relationship. But the authentic thing to do would be to express, your true concern, or maybe something about yourself that you newly realized that would change a big dynamic in your relationship. Authenticity is not easy, y'all. It is really hard to maintain authenticity. So as you're going on a journey of trying to be more authentic, give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. Don't beat yourself up or overthink yourself to death because you're like, is this authentic? Is it not? Try your best. If you have the intention to be authentic and you truly, genuinely are showing up, trying your best to be the most authentic you can be, then you're doing it. You're doing the thing. You're doing it right. One more point I want to make on this is that I feel like authenticity is talked about so much online, like show up authentic, be your authentic self. And this can be really hard to do as a creator because when you really boil it down, when you're creating content, you got to make something that people want to hear about. When I made this episode, yeah, of course, I wrote my own notes. I wrote down all the things that I wanted to talk about, all of my perspectives, my story, and how I interpret this idea of authenticity. But I did research because my goal is that this video gets seen by people. I don't want to just talk into a void. I want people to hear me. So it can be really hard as a creator to maintain authenticity because there is this big element, this big piece of it where you have to garner some sort of attention. But if you're just saying and doing what's popular for the sake of saying and doing what's popular, then that's not authentic. And so it's this really, really, really hard line to walk as a creator, specifically. Now, I made some notes. I already kind of touched on this, but I made a list of notes on the reasons why we often are inauthentic. And I think that this can help you to identify if you're asking yourself, you're making decisions, you're like, am I being authentic right now? Is this authentic to me? Here's the list. So some of the reasons that we're inauthentic in a situation: 1, to attain status, to be cool, to be popular, to be liked. That's one. Self-defense is actually another one. So very valid, right? Like, because to be completely vulnerable in some instances, which authenticity is very vulnerable. To be vulnerable is to be sometimes putting yourself in maybe an unsafe situation, or in my case, when I think to my story of going viral, it was so much more comfortable for me to have a persona online and to just be doing what I was doing, because if people put hate in the comments, if people were like, you're so narcissistic because you're talking about how to spell your name and making jokes about mispronouncing your name, or they're saying like, ew, you're being this, you're being that, whatever the hate comments were, I don't even remember. But it was so much easier to just be like, well, that's not me, so it doesn't hurt my feelings, because I know that's not me. So if it's you're showing up online truly authentic, and you know it's you that you're putting out there, your heart and your soul on your sleeve, and then someone puts some hate in the comments, it's gonna sting a little bit more that way. So it can be a self-defense mechanism. It can also be something to make you look smarter. If I came on here, say someone in the comments, right, when I make this video is like telling me I said something wrong, or I mispronounced something, or I misquoted something. It's really easy to, instead of just owning that mistake, to instead put on some front of like, oh, well, I just read it wrong, or ChatGPT gave it to me. And then you kind of put on this front that like, more than you actually know, just because you don't want to feel silly for messing up. There's a lady sweeping outside the door right now. Hopefully you guys can't hear that, but we're going to continue on. So as camouflage, this is another good one. So I was very much a conformist in school. Like I didn't want to shake the boat, if you will. I wanted to fit in. I tried to fit in. I really tried so hard to fit in. So we can be inauthentic as a way to try to fit in with the group, because fitting in feels good. You make friends. You want to feel like people get you. You want to feel like you belong somewhere. And from my experience, because I always tried to fit in, but I never, in many instances, felt like I fully fit in. But now, in my late 20s, I'm 27, I have found friends where I truly just feel like on a soul level, we get it. We're aligned. We fit in with each other. I finally feel like I fit in. And you can't truly ever find that feeling unless you are authentic. You find your way to being authentic. So as camouflage, that's one of the reasons that we're inauthentic, to fit in, to camouflage ourselves, to not stand out, to kind of hide behind the curtain. If you have a fear of being seen, that's another big one, where you would use inauthenticity as camouflage. A lot of it's really, as I'm going over this list, I'm realizing more and more from a high level, it's kind of a defense mechanism. Largely so. And then the last thing I wrote down is we do it to hide from others what we think. Maybe you don't have a fully formed opinion or perspective on something, or maybe you're afraid that, if you shared your true opinion on something, people wouldn't like you, or one of your friends would be mad at you, or if you shared the truth with your partner, they would leave you, right? So a lot of times, if we're just trying to hide what we actually think from other people, we will say something or do something that is inauthentic. Now, let's dial this all back, right, to the whole point of this, which is that it is a problem if we just water down the word authenticity and we don't understand what it truly means. So I've given you a lot of breakdowns on, what authenticity looks like. But here is the definition. And I looked up the word authenticity, and the dictionary said, I forget exactly, it was like, maintain a status of being authentic, or to be in the nature of authentic. I was like, wow, that helps. So then I had to Google. Then I had to look up, okay, give me the definition of authentic. Okay, so the definition of authentic is undisputed origin, genuine. Okay, so authenticity is about the origin of who you are, the core of who you are. And I think that it can sound woo-woo and it can sound fluffy, because most of us don't know who we are. Most of us don't know who that is at the core, because we take on other people's thoughts, other people's opinions, and other people's perceptions and perspectives of us. So I want to share an exercise with you. I like to always give a call to action at the end of these episodes so that you're not just listening, you're actually applying these things to your life and making a difference. they're actually making a difference. I am trying to find who said this so that I don't give you guys inaccurate information. That is, okay. So this exercise I found, it was Jordan Peterson. I found it in a video on YouTube when I was doing research for this episode. And here's what you're going to do, okay? You're going to assume, first, step one, assume that what you say and think aren't actually you. Everything. At first, we're going to question everything because you got to start somewhere. And you got to start with questioning everything. So detach from the thoughts and the things that you say. I'm going to give you guys an example once I walk you through the steps so that you guys understand what I mean here. So the first thing you want to do is detach from your thoughts. They are not you. Your thoughts and the things you say, okay? We're detaching. The reason that you're going to do this is because that most of what you think and say is from other people. You took it on. You internalized it. And it became a part of you. So we're kind of, we're almost like shedding our skin. It's like shedding snake skin. Once you do that, once you detach and you start developing this awareness of what are my thoughts, I would recommend just like throughout your day, put it in your notes app. If you have a thought or you say something out loud and you're like, why did I say that? Did I mean that? Put it in your notes app, okay? Because you want to develop an awareness around the thoughts and the things that you say. And once you start, developing this list and this awareness around the things that you're saying and thinking, then you want to start asking yourself, which of these thoughts and things are me and which of these things are not me? And if you want us to take it a step further, if they're not you, where did it come from? Where did it come from? So now the way that you can tell if you're struggling, like, is this me? Is it me or is it not me? Think about, does this thought or feeling make me strong and empowered, or does it make you weak and remain stuck? That is huge. Okay. So now I'm going to give you guys an example. If you say, I am shy, if you believe you're shy, you're like, well, kind of want to go up and do karaoke, but I'm shy. Can't do it. If you want to do public speaking, you're like, but I'm shy. Okay, so you're saying, I'm shy. That makes me feel shy. I feel uncomfortable. I'm shy. So now then you ask yourself, is this me? Is this me or is this someone else? Okay, this is actually an example for me. I used to tell myself, I'm shy. I can't do that because I'm shy. But do you have a drive to do the thing? Do you have a drive to sing? Do you have a drive to public speak and do things where you're on stage, you're getting a lot of attention, you have to hold attention, things that require you to not be shy, okay? So if you have that drive, but you have this conflicting thing saying, I'm shy, that told me, no, that's not me. I took that on somehow, somewhere along the journey, I took that on. And to answer the question, it makes me weak to believe that. So try that exercise. And if you need some support around it, I started a group. I'm calling it the secret group. And I'm only keeping it open for free until Halloween or when we hit 20 people. There are 10 spots left right now. So if you want to join, there's a link in the description, a little application to fill out, and then you can join the free group. We do monthly group calls to talk about the episodes and to support each other on our creative and self-awareness journeys. So thank you guys for listening today. I hope you got something out of this episode. If you did, share it with somebody you think it might help. Give it a like if you're on YouTube. Subscribe, follow the show wherever you are at. Leave it a review. I'm self-funding this podcast, so anything helps, even just watching. So thank you for being here, and I will see you guys in the next episode.